Okay, welcome to this month's Video Games Club for the month of... This month we're going to be doing Resident Evil 4, and it's going to be a wild time, as it is a wild game. Originally part of the Capcom 5 and was immediately betrayed and went to the PS2. For me, as a GameCube owner, look, it means nothing to me. It was, I mean, back then it did, but look, it's a great game. It revolutionized, and it was one of their real big turning points of their series. Hasn't had a good game since Resident Evil, like Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 7 is, you know, they haven't had a good game since Resident Evil 4. So I felt just after Paul has finished playing Resident Evil 7, now is a perfect time while the iron is hot. I love it, and you'll get to see a great conversation between the three of us as to why following now.
Hello, this is the Player2 Video Games Club. I'm your host Paul James, and today I'm joined by Jay Parnas and Damo Camilleri.
Yes,
and I'm going to throw this thing to you immediately because it was your game for this month. What did you pick for us?
So I decided to pick Fire Emblem because we haven't had enough of that. No, Resident Evil 4.
Fire Emblem.
Yeah, that bad boy. I mean, it's just had its remake on the current gen systems, so it's been remade for an additional generation. So it's actually a game that spanned 3 generations, considering that it was available on the Wii and PC around the last gen, and obviously it was on the GameCube and PS2 of that generation. So I figured it was a good time because it's one of my favourite games. I guess it's probably the game I've finished the most times successively. So yeah, I figured it was a roundabout time, especially since you came off Resident Evil 7 earlier this year and said, okay, maybe I can handle this franchise and I won't be a little baby about everything.
Maybe I can like it, but anyway.
And obviously, I know that you're in for a bit of a scare here or there, a bit of a good game. So, yeah. So, all right. Well, look, to kick things off, what are your retrospective histories with horror and survival horror games in general?
No, I'm non-existent.
Well, I know you've got Dead Space in there.
Dead Space is about the only horror franchise I've kind of tried and enjoyed in the past. Depending on how, I mean, we've kind of referenced it loosely in past games clubs, whether we'd even deem the likes of Bioshock and Alan Wake as horror games. But
Bioshock,
I think
yes.
it's more they
Alan
lean on
Wake.
the suspense side rather than a horror sort of component at all.
I suppose. I mean, it's
very, very minimal. Dead Space, and then when I played and reviewed Resident Evil 7 earlier this year, check it out, player2.net.au.
Excuse me while I...
That's okay. Yeah, I guess that's why I like this group so much, is that that contrast we all share. Like, whereas it's not your element at all. I've dabbled, and you froth it a bit, yeah?
Oh, it depends on the game. I mean, like, I'm certainly too much of a little bitch to go into something like Amnesia or something like that, where I know the game is literally trying to butt fuck me with fear. But when there's enough of action in there, then yeah, I'm cool to like feel underpowered, but I just don't like feeling no powered. So something like an Outlast or something like that is not my style. But
yeah, so for me, I've played Resident Evil 1 and 2. I did not enjoy them. If it wasn't for this game, Resident Evil 4, I would have just... I would have legit put my middle finger up to it.
Hey, that's what I was doing for years and years and years until I played Resident Evil 7.
It's true, until you got to sign the review.
Yeah, until I had to do the review.
But
Paul, you're one of the 2 writers with PlayStation VR. Do you want to do it?
I kind of got my PC in that time when horror survival games were like really the game to make for an indie scene. So
again, Outlast and
Amnesia, Slender Man, Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah.
I dabbled in all of them. I can honestly say I don't really enjoy them. Like, out of kind of horror survival-ish kind of game, though, I would say Aliens... Alien Isolation. Yeah, Alien vs. Predator. When you're the humans...
the human campaign. Yep, that's a legendary...
My God. Like... Because, you know, as the Predator, you're OP as shit.
Yeah.
As the Alien, you got that speed momentum. As a human, you're legit...
Fodder.
Like, that's it. You're nothing. So, I was finding myself cowering in a corner, like, throwing flares to light up the area as much as possible. Just sitting there going, I know there's something here, there's something here, there's something here. Like, I kind of enjoyed
That was your twitchy with fear, not unloading a machine gun.
No, yeah, that's just me like shaking in absolute like, you know, even the mouse kind of just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Like I've played, you know, some crazy games. Like I think it was a Japanese game where
Fatal Frame, something like that.
It was kind of. I think it was based off that. Fatal Frame's amazing, by the way. I love that game.
Well, that's another survival horror, I guess, of that same sort of ilk that we're looking at.
Yeah,
so definitely.
And, I don't know. It was this weird game. Like you some Japanese. I think it wasn't even Japanese. I think you were in Thailand or something, or Vietnam, and you were like this schoolgirl, and like you had to pull out your camera to see the goats. Yeah, kind of
I know that one. Yeah,
very Fatal Frame. But like, if you didn't pull out your camera and take a photo of it quick enough, you were dead. And like it was fucking terrifying. And I don't enjoy that level of fear where it's just fear for the sake of fear. Like it doesn't, you know, it wasn't like flicker on your camera and like, you know, it was just it's kind of dumb.
The one.
I think Game Grumps. I know Cnanas did it. I know Game Grumps probably did it too. But
anyway, that aside, that was just so that we're clear on in terms
background.
Of like where you come from. Obviously, as you know, it's very common knowledge to everyone. Resident Evil 4 is where the more action elements of the Resident Evil series came in. So it's definitely not as jump scary nearly as anything that came before it, and pretty much and certainly not a lot after it beyond Resident Evil, like up to Resident Evil 6 has really done anything to perpetuate that horror element. So, but again, just to give sort of a background for anyone watching at home or anywhere else, that's kind of where we stand. And that's why, like, there wasn't any pushback from you guys as to play this game, but there may have been some, like, because the name definitely holds kind of that stigma of like it was the kind of inventor of the survival horror genre, so there's definitely that to it, and obviously this being a very kind of legendary game, I suppose, in that. So looking at the game setup now, I know that you've not really played many of the old Resident Evils, and I know
I think you meant to say.
What did I say?
Oh,
Did I say many? I did actually intend on saying many. So, and I know that and I know that you've played the first couple, as you mentioned before. So, with the setup for this game, Umbrella Corporation is they look like they're gone and done with, and the president's daughter's kidnapped. There's no zombies, which is a change. And it's set in rural Spain. So, did being thrust into such an unexpected situation kind of give you this weird sort of sense of, wait, this is not really what I thought I was signing up for? Or like, did you feel like, hang on, this is not what I thought it would be? Like, was there any element of that to it, do you think?
Yeah, straight away from the word get-go, even the colour scheme, like, it's kind of different. Like, it's not bright. That it's lackluster in colour, like, it's still that very neutral tone, but I don't know, it just... I guess, bright would be the better word.
Yeah, a lot of it's set in outside, well, at least at the start of the game, it's set in an outdoor during the day.
And, just, you know, not being in a creepy building or a shitty city, like, you just, you're kind of in this new environment, like, you're with this character that's very Resident Evil-y cool, which was, look, I'll give Resident Evil something, their characters are pretty boss.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like the new and improved Leon, because he was obviously in Resident Evil number 2.
Yeah.
So for your knowledge, he was one of the main protagonists of number 2.
Yeah.
And so, like, the events were basically that in number 2, it was his first day as a police officer, and then all of the zombie shit happened in the city that he was becoming a police officer in, and that kind
Raccoon
of all
City,
happened.
right?
Raccoon City, correct. And so it's kind of like it's doing a time skip from like where that all happened, and then sort of he's now sort of more of a government agent, you know, has had a lot of more training and that type of stuff, and now he's been sent on a solo mission to rescue the president's daughter in rural Spain. So it's kind of...
Yeah, it felt very different. Like that first interaction with the two guys in the car, and then the first villager...
Did you forget your makeup or something?
You meet, like it's... Yeah, it set a very different tone off the word get-go from previous games. Not as damp and dull as the first game, and not as
cliche zombie.
Yeah, definitely.
What about you, Paul?
For me, in short, I wasn't surprised because despite the fact that I've not had any interest in the franchise, I
kinda
could not
knew.
help but see things over
Of course.
whatever it is, 10, 15 years. How long is it? Yeah, 10?
It'd be 11 years.
Okay.
Oh, no, 2004, so 13.
Yeah, so getting close to 15 years since it came out. You can't help but see little bits and pieces.
Yeah, of course.
So,
But again, like,
nothing surprising to me.
right, but in terms of it as a franchise being about zombies in...
Oh, yeah, but again, I guess that effect is
I
kind of
suppose.
lost on me without having played
True.
the original 3, but then having seen bits of it because it gets brought up in many of these best of lists all over the place. I can't help but see a bit of footage and go, that's not a zombie.
Yeah, true.
Okay. So that kind of killed that for me.
I guess, fair enough. All right, tell me about tank controls. Talk to me about the control scheme. How did it feel? Did it feel clunky and old?
Oh, tank controls by design are kind of
Clunky.
kind of that way.
Yeah.
But then the experience was a bit different for me. I decided to play, and to Jay's surprise when we discussed this beforehand, I decided to play the Wii version of it just because I wanted to be able to talk to the motion stuff somewhat. Now you've since informed me that's kind of the easy way to play the game.
Yes, it is, because you got a crosshair, you literally point on screen and that's where you shoot. Whereas on the control, what did you play it on?
I played it on PS4.
PS4, yeah, right. So you would have had the trying to line up the little dot on things to try and headshot, where this dude's just like, I'll point at you and fucking...
Okay, I have a Wii. I should have played this on the Wii.
Yeah.
So I guess probably least impacted by that. But I mean, look, tank controls. You kind of know what you're in for there. It's slower.
Did it make you feel claustrophobic at all? Because that's kind of
probably not because of that Wii factor where I can go
just empty people. Yeah. On the flip side, with
a
yourself.
greater degree.
Yeah,
of precision.
it's didn't make me love it. Definitely didn't break the game for me though, because I don't know, having experience with Resident Evil 1 and 2, it was definitely, I felt like it was an improvement from the memories I hold of that. So
Okay, cool. Well, what did you guys think about the story? Was there a magic moment or a particular awesome spectacle that you remember fondly from your playthrough of Resident Evil 4?
If you're going to be the man that goes first for the first time, go for it.
Look, I was just going to say, I think more of an overall thing rather than a single moment. The whole thing's just sufficiently weird.
Well, yeah, I guess.
Which I guess is kind of part of the intention with Resident Evil. Having played 7, they were going for that, that as well. And kind of some of those, to use 7 as the example, and don't worry, I'm not spoiling anything too major there if you haven't played it yet. You think you've killed someone and then they just keep appearing, and that sort of effect, and then it's not the same in 4, but look, there's things that come out of left corner, out of left of field, that kind of catch you off guard. But were there any
cutscenes or anything like? Okay, to speak with that, did you get the shit killed out of you for missing one of the little quick time events?
You're kind of in the zone and oh crap,
yeah,
too late.
Yeah.
Which is something, you gave me a ring halfway between episodes and kind of dropped that on me, so I was certainly more alert going forward, but it had come back to bite me once already.
Yeah. I personally like those because, again, for me playing it originally back when it was sort of out, quick time events in that way weren't really being utilised during cutscenes. I mean, you think of something like back then where quick time events were like finishes in God of War and stuff like that, but they weren't really, they weren't super pervasive like they are, or like they were for that kind of Xbox 360 period.
Yeah.
And this game was the first game that I can think of where they actually had quick time events during the cutscene, and if you fucking missed them because you were engrossed in the cutscene, dead. That's it, straight up. And for most of the moments in the game, which this is a personal thing that I like about it, most of the moments in the game where you miss or you fuck up, there will be a unique death animation of you just getting completely fucked over. There's one point that you guys might remember where there's a trap door, and you fall through it, and if you do the quick time event, you'll throw up a grappling hook and you'll be fine.
Yeah, and if not,
did you see what happens if not?
No.
Okay.
So go on.
If not, you fall down and are impaled on a giant stone spire and just kind of like, which is pretty grisly, yeah. And again, for a game in 2004, it's pretty full on.
Yeah, like the modern day version of that I can think of, and it's not a horror game, but is like Tomb Raider and Rise of the Tomb Raider, where if you don't like specifically, I think it was the original Tomb Raider, specifically the ones that kind of stick out, where she was going on a little zip line and like it's coming to an end if you don't hit the button. Straight into the spikes at the end.
Or the
watching Conan O'Brien do that, and he's just like, the first thing, like the guy pulls her out and just starts melting her face. It's like, okay.
Or the very classic Spider-Man for the it's a PS2, PS3 where he tries to do the web sling and falls on his face and then the building explodes. I'm sure you've both seen.
No, I haven't seen it.
I'll show you later. It's pretty funny. What about yourself, Damo? What? Tell me about the any awesome moments or anything.
It's definitely 2 awesome moments.
Regale me.
Us.
So I don't want to give any spoilers.
Well, spoiler warning.
Let's just say
the statute's up. It came out in 2004.
Jet skis.
Oh yeah.
Fucking jet skis. That was pretty boss. That was just it's kind of like
with the keys and the little.
You just
teddy.
like I wanted to eat my popcorn there, or like sip from my fucking drink with my pinky up. Just like I am king.
With a game like that, you can't be too sure what's happening.
Yeah, well that's it.
That's pretty true. Yeah.
To go back to what you said a moment ago, that's
But like the thing that always stuck with me and will forever probably stick with me is Scarecrow on crack. So does anyone remember Batman Begins Scarecrow, the sack over the head? Yeah. Him in this game,
Dr. Salvador.
Fucking, I was like, oh my god, what the fuck is Jay brought us into?
So
for opening.
Did you walk into the house that I told you not to walk into in the first area? So there's in the first area where you first come to the people, there's you can choose to not go in there, but that's where the shotgun is. So you're probably like you kind of the temptation is there. Also if you don't know it's coming. I actually my first playthrough I had no idea. I just didn't go in there.
Yeah.
But the second time I played it through, I went in there and there was a cutscene where Mr. Bag for a head with like a little eye hole cut out of it. Literally just this tanked. You would have seen him at least at one point. Tanked Ganado with a chainsaw. It's a pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool scene.
It just gets me. Like, it's such a cool thing to have. Like, you know, here's like a bonus weapon, but you're gonna have to pay for it. In a nice way too. Like, it wasn't like
with your life.
Oh, you're gonna but like you're in a horror survival where, you know, a lot of these horror survival things, it's like, oh, like you found the vent and you've gone through, you've got the extra battery pack now and the health kit, where this was like, this will make your game easier, but you have to fucking fight for it. Like, it's not, you have to discover it through a labyrinth of or whatever.
But then also you have to like level it up through the merchant system. What are you buying? Like that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I agree with you. For me personally, there were definitely a few moments of like the knife fight scene. I love that fucking scene is straight out of an 80s action film, if ever there was one.
And just, again, with that character work from Resident Evil, it just looks so goddamn cool.
And that's the really cool part, to sort of, again, to touch on the story. If you actually look at the story as a whole, most of the supporting characters are not in the game very much at all, and yet they still seem like really big personalities.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
I'll pay you that.
Yeah. So that's one thing that I sort of came back through. Like the Spanish dude, you actually encounter him literally 3 times in the game. 3.
Yeah.
3 plus the first time that you meet him.
Yeah.
So there's the time where he's in the, like at the start where you find him for the first time, and then technically you're transported to the next area with him.
Yeah.
Then the next time you see him is in the house where you gotta, there's the shootout.
Yeah.
And then the next time that you see him, and then that's kind of it, because stuff happens.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yet he seems like this dominant character for like the first half of the game, if not more. And same with Jack, the dude he become. You see him maybe
the guy that you can't kill in Resident Evil 7.
The guy,
Jax.
Yeah. Well, look, Jack's a pretty popular, very Americano name. So, but yeah, like you only see him about 3 or 4 times as well. So yeah, so it's really interesting, and I agree with you. The way that they actually make those characters intriguing is really, really cool, in my opinion. All right, so Paul, this question is less useful to you now, knowing that you played the Wii version. But did you find the game tough? Or was it hard?
I'll say yes, most likely because I'm not used to that kind of game. Like, it's been a while, as you know, you have seen.
Ammo consumption and things like that.
Gaming history hasn't been, you know.
Well, yeah, it's one of those things that, like habits and whatnot have changed in gaming these days, where it is like just unload clips. Don't worry, you'll replenish them nice and easily. So then to have to go back the other way, and I kind of trained myself, I guess, a little bit when I played Resident Evil 7, so I was a little bit more equipped than I would otherwise have been if I'd have not played that first. And then to go, okay, I just need to be conservative, I'll take my time. If I don't like what I'm dealing with here, and this is how I kind of played Resident Evil 7, it's fine, I'll just straight past, let's go.
Oh, okay, so you ran past people.
No, that was my approach in 7.
Okay.
So that was kind of my bailout if I wasn't as conservative as I should have been. Like, I was learning the rules of Resident Evil through 7 that I was then able to take back and apply when I played.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean,
with or without the ease of using the Wii.
Oh, look, that's more
that approach.
When I say that it's easier in that way, all I mean is that it's easier for you to line up your shots, because to clarify,
by extension, that means you're less wasteful.
Hopefully.
Well, in theory, yeah.
But I mean, you know, motion control is never an ideal situation. But look, it's because you just get a big. So the difference is, and to clarify, the Wii version gets a crosshair on screen at all times based on your pointer. Yeah. Whereas every other version doesn't, and you'll only get a dot on something that you can shoot. So for some things, there is actually a level of ease on the not Wii version, because things that you can interact with by shooting, you'll get your little laser pointer dot will show up on it, whereas anything that you can't shoot that looks environmental that you might be able to fuck with won't. So there's that, whereas your pointer will obviously show up on everything. So there's a bit of sort of back and forward there, but yes, it is way easier to line up shots with your cursor than not. But back to you, back to you.
I think because I read. I mean, this is just weird. I read in
checking some of the contents of your collector's edition.
I think like a PC Power Gamer or whatever magazine it was back in the day.
Oh, PC Power Play.
Yeah, they had like a walkthrough for like Alone in the Dark or something like that.
Yeah, right.
And I hold on to that advice ever since then. Like, it was like, this is a game that you can't shoot and kill every enemy. Like, you have to conserve ammo. So I think any like horror survival game, I've always kind of done that. Like, I don't have to use my bullets all the time, but it's still just like a hard thing to kind of
hard habit to break.
You get in panic mode and you're like, like I'm gonna, I've got to shoot, I've got to do this. Like,
so to speak on
that sound effect says about all you need to know there.
Yeah, it does. And look, I think that to sort of touch on, for me, how this game affected me in terms of like a scare factor when I was playing it for the first time, there was no. So again, the early Resident Evils, and you can back me up on this, they had jump scares. Shit would pop, like fucking dogs were jumping through the window, and you'd be like, "Fucking, where'd that come from?" Jesus Christ!
That one. Yeah, I played it, but I know all about it.
And stuff like that would happen.
Open up the door, and it's like,
and
you get the black screen, and then it's like, oh, there's nothing there, and then you walk into the room, and there is a zombie in there. You're like, God damn it!
Yeah. Or like you would turn a corner, or like the camera angle would change because they used to be fixed angles, and there's a zombie there. Fuck everything.
Yeah.
I'm dead. Whereas in this, the fear for me, the fear for me came from being like, I know there's going to be enemies in there. I've got like 3 bullets. I don't want to go in there. I really don't want to go like that. Does that make sense? Like that kind of fear of like apprehension of being like, I don't want to go in there. I don't want there to be a cutscene of like a million dudes running out of a fucking door, and coming to eat my face off. Like, I don't want that. And that
I'm
was
not equipped to deal with that.
yeah. Like, this is a big fucking room. I know if I walk more than 5 paces into this room, the doors are going to close behind me, and I'm going to be fucked. Yeah. So that was kind of how it affected me. I don't know. Does that ring true for you guys?
Yeah. It's that like subtle tense fear where you're like, oh, I've got this, like...
Yeah, I know what I've got and I know what I don't have.
If there's something in there, or you know there's something in there, you just kind of like, you know, sometimes, you know, you pause the game. I paused the game a couple of times just going like,
all right,
I'll get
gain some
this.
composure.
Like,
right.
yeah, just like,
And then
you gotta like, you know...
time to clench the butt cheeks and get it done.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Because you gotta, otherwise you're just not gonna get through the game. Like sometimes you have to nut up and shut up. Like, you know.
Yeah.
Rule number 1: cardio.
Yeah. Well, so the thing that I would sort of say is one thing that I found was way easier is, did you guys find out that you could totally fucking suplex people?
No, I didn't suplex anyone.
Yeah, if they're standing,
This is the
if they're
second
Man, if there's a
episode in a row
suplex
where
in
you're
any
talking about
fucking
suplexing,
game,
but
they're
Jay can find a suplex.
yeah, for fucking. Well, that's the thing. So
that little known fact,
the way-
Zero is actually the sequel to
yeah, it's true. Yeah,
Check
it's
out last week's episode for that reference.
yeah, Yakuza -1 is actually set in Spain, and there's anyway. Yeah, so there are actually several ways that you can save your bullets. So if you incapacitate someone either by shooting them in the head and making them be like, "Oh, I got shot in the face, that hurts," you can run up and you can do like a kick, like it'll be like you press X or whatever, and you'll be able to do a kick, something like that.
Yeah.
If you shoot them in the leg or the ankle, when they're walking but not running, they'll go down on one knee. And like in the first area in the village, you'll do a spin kick. From the castle onwards, you'll fucking suplex them, and you've got like a 50% chance of like insta-killing them by like their head just fucking exploding upon impact with the ground.
That was awesome.
And then if you shoot them in the leg and then the head, they'll fall backwards on their back, and you literally just walk up and just knife them as they're getting up, and you can totally kill every enemy in this game. The knife is the quickest way to save ammunition.
Yep.
So fun facts, but yeah, there's totally a suplex, and it's really fucking strong. You alright?
Yep.
Okay. So the Plagas, give me your opinions. What did you think of the actual enemies inside the enemies? Like when that happened, there's a moment when it turns to nighttime and you see your first head explosion, shall we say. Like what effect did that, like what surprise did that have for you guys? And then seeing the different sort of Plagas as the game progressed, what did that mean to you?
Knowing what could happen, like knowing that it's eventually a thing.
Did you know that going in?
Hey, again, like I'd seen enough over the years to know what was coming.
So you
But
kind of knew that was going to happen.
At the same time, predicting when that was first going to happen was not easy.
Yeah.
So when it did, it had sufficient effect. But I mean, once that was kind of okay, cool. Yeah, it's like I get the rules. I know how it's working. This was again very much the same effect, and they're far from comparable games from perspective alone. But like same sort of effect that Resident Evil 7 had. Like once I understood the rules, how the game was playing, cool.
Were they unfair rules? Do you think?
No. That was fine. And 7 was the same. I'm gonna stop trying to pump up 7. But,
well, I mean, that's kind of the thing.
I understood the rules of the game and how it wanted to mess with me or not.
Did you notice the difference between the different Plagas that they had? Because there are 3 main ones that you'll come across.
No, I didn't notice anything.
No, okay, I'll touch on that in a minute. How about yourself, Damo? What impact did it have on yourself? Especially that first sort of.
The first one, you just like eyes kind of go wide, and you're like, well, this is definitely not what I expected.
That's not a zombie. That's what is that?
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. Like it felt different. You know what? It felt original.
Yeah,
That's probably the best part and the best way to put it.
I agree with you.
It
Absolutely.
felt original, and especially being set in that. And the cool thing was, when you go to like that Spanish kind of place, you kind of start to build an idea in your head of how this is going to play out. Get a bit culty and stuff when you meet your first town, and then it's like you're kind of using cliches and you're not using cliches at the exact same time. This is kind of really interesting. So yeah, I found it interesting, but it's kind of, you encounter the first thing, you know, heart rate goes up, eyes go wide, controller gets a bit sweaty. Like,
for sure. Well, did you notice the difference between the different pluggers that there were?
No, I can't say that I really like.
Subtle enough.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. So there are sort of three main ones that you come across. The first one is the one that you first encounter, which has the big blade that sort of whips around and can kill you from quite a distance.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if there was a point where you were like, I'm at low health, I'll just stay just out of your range so that I can shoot at you, and then it whips forward and kills you, and you're like, well, I fucked up my distance on that one. There's another one. So the next one that you come across in the castle is this more sort of looking thing.
Yeah.
And it's more of like a browny grey colour. If you get too close to them, it will actually just lurch up and bite your head off and insta-kill you. So there's that.
Okay.
And then there's the one with all the spider legs, which you probably saw at least at one point.
Yeah.
And
that's gross.
yeah, and so the thing about that is it could shoot an acid ball, and once you kill the enemy, it will actually detach itself from the enemy. And then,
okay.
Yeah, so that's what
Okay,
those
so they're okay. I now that I know, I just thought there was something I was missing.
No,
I'm like,
those are like the three variants of the shit that can pop out of their skull.
I thought, like it was one that fucking, would have like its legs come out and it's.
Oh
like,
no, they all come through the skull.
Yeah, that's fine then.
A million legs exploded.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, boss territory, but yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of that, what did you think of the bosses in the game? Did they push your shit in? Did they fuck you up? Were they?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've always kind of Resident Evil bosses have always been kind of really annoying. Like you just kind of like, damn it! Like this is just such an upscale from what I've been playing. Like, and that's really cool when it comes to bosses. Like, in any game,
they kind of don't make
upping the ante, throwing something different at you.
Yeah, they kind of don't make good bosses anymore, or for a lot of games don't make good bosses anymore. A lot of them just
they don't know how to end games either.
Well, yeah, true.
And it's like it was kind of really cool. Like I like the bosses in this game. Not the biggest fan of said final boss.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, like I get it, but almost too cliched in the end.
Yeah.
For me.
Well, yeah.
But not enough to like go, like for me to go, yep, now this game's ruined. A complete Resident Evil write-off. It was just like, I mean, you know what I mean? Like if, the bosses come into a rating system, the final boss is still a solid 8 out of 10. Like,
yeah, right. Did you do the finisher with the rocket launcher?
Yes.
Satisfying?
I think indicates the same feeling. Yes.
Yes, it's pretty good. All right, so now I know that I don't know how much of it you engaged with, but so post-game content. Did you look at any of the post-game stuff?
The separate ways thing.
So the separate ways I'll touch.
Oh, you want to touch?
Yeah, I'll touch on that a little separately. There's the other stuff to do with there's the other stuff like Assignment Ada and the Mercenaries and all that sort of stuff. Didn't touch any of that?
No.
That was only like I took on board your separate ways thing. Like, all right, I'll make sure to check out that. Didn't end up getting through all of it, which, I mean, then you'll get... Yeah. We have to talk a bit more about it than perhaps you would have expected or hoped to. But,
yes, that's fine. I can cover that. That's fine.
But... yeah, it's kind of, it's just, I mean, as if you've seen our patched updates from last week, you will have seen that I have gone through a lot of stuff in the last month and a bit for review. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of, what can I get through? Yeah, I think I've managed my time pretty well. Let's try and get through separate ways. Oh, it's a little bit longer than I thought it was.
Yeah, and it's meaty.
Not that it's, I mean, it's not a huge thing, but like it's...
Yeah, I think it took me about 5-6 hours.
Yeah, I was going to say, from what I played and then when I checked to see, I'm about just a smidge over halfway through. Mm-hmm.
It actually took me 21 hours to finish it, but that's because my Xbox being on easy on, like, or like instant on mode. For some reason, my game kept
kept
the time clock going, which was pretty funny. But whatever, it is what it is.
I love that the game I played most last year was a Vita game that I played for like an hour myself, but actually
because it was suspended.
In terms of my game clocks, when I get the email from PlayStation saying, congratulations on all the things you did this year, the game you played most was I don't recall. It was one of the Manor games, the one they ported. Gone blank on what it was, the old Final Fantasy adventure. Either way, and I played for like 200 hours. No. And I'd say it was just 200 hours until my Vita died.
Yeah, right. Well, so the assignment Ada was just a little mission that you could play as Ada Wong, who's the chick in the red dress. And it was just a mission on the sort of the final area, like the military area in the game.
None of these were originally in.
So this was,
right?
yes.
Oh.
So this was, and I have a note here about the difference here. So yeah, and then there was Mercenaries Mode, which was literally it would give you an arena, and you'd have to kill people in kind of like combos and stuff like that. So like regular headshots and things like that, and you'd be scored on it, give medals. You could unlock to play as different characters. You could play as Leon, Ada, everybody's favorite Hunk. And you can actually play as Wesker as well.
Shame it's not Hung Wong.
Yeah, well, he's just the again. you would know more about
jokes.
You would know more about Hunk than Paul. He's just like the special ops dude. Wears the gas mask. Anyway, but so this game was originally a Capcom 5 game, which I'm pretty sure we spoke about not all that long ago
because we did the episode the Games Club episode on Killer 7, which was as well.
So this was originally supposed to be a GameCube exclusive, but it was
and there was
ported
a particular comment that was made around. Do you recall that? If Resident Evil 4 comes to any other platform, then I'll cut off my head.
I'll resign or something. Yeah.
This is the guy who made it. And then what was it, like 8 months?
8 months.
8 months.
Yeah.
And then it came to PS2.
Yeah.
And he no longer has a head.
But the funny thing about that is, so with
Damo's jaw's hurting again.
there are a lot of actual bits and pieces that are in this game that then were further expanded upon on the PS2.
Yeah.
So there is actually, and again, this touches on separate ways. So obviously you played it, you didn't play it. Did you see any of the additional moments that had further context in the game?
No, nothing immediately rings out, but what we might do.
So there are actually a few points in the game where you're right.
Yep. All right. So that jaw's still causing some issues. We'll keep going.
So there are a few moments in the game that actually have reference to some of the events that occur in separate ways. So, for example, at one point in Separate Ways, you get knocked out as Ada, and you wake up on this like stone altar, and some dude tries to kill you with an axe.
Yeah.
Did you see that bit?
No, but I did it. Didn't experience that bit myself, but I did a little bit.
Because that's in the first.
Because I didn't get to play it all, I thought I'll do a little bit of YouTube research to fill in a few of those gaps, so I didn't go in completely blank with it.
Well, anyway, you get your.
So I'm familiar with that bit.
You get a small cut on your leg, and in the Leon story, you actually find that altar at one point. It's like, it's got fresh blood on it. I wonder what this was for.
Yeah, it links the two.
Yeah, but the funny part is that's in the GameCube version before the Separate Ways mode even existed.
Oh, okay.
And there is no reference to that particular location anywhere else in the game. There's no other events that take place there except for the events in Separate Ways. So it's kind of, I always wondered, like, the kind of what came first of, like, did they actually always intend for that to come to the PS2 or what?
Damo's back.
Graceful. So, yeah.
That was the couch.
Anyway, yeah, so for me, it was really good to... Because I never got to play that through in my first run, because obviously, as you can see there, I had the GameCube version, which didn't have these bits of content. But
you never had a PS2, did you?
I never had a PS2, no.
Sorry, the worst PlayStation console, anyway.
I mean, it sold how many copies?
Yeah, I know. It's still got the worst library of the lot.
Anyway, so yeah, I mean, for me, like...
Still a fantastic console. Worst library of the lot.
Settle down. So yeah, look, for me, I mean, how many hours did it take you to finish the game? Approximately.
Oh, Jeez, I don't know. Because I've broken so many different, like, you and I...
I mean, it would have given you a counter at the end.
Yeah, but I don't know that I paid any attention to the counter at the end.
Do you know, approximately?
Like, it's not a short game.
No, it's not.
Like, it's not ridiculously
14, 15,
long either.
like
Yeah, if I would
a
have
bit
said off the top of
more.
my head, mid-teens.
Okay, yeah,
I
right.
think I was
Close to
close to like 18, and either 17 to 19, around that.
I mean, for an action game from 2004,
yeah,
that's a long ass fucking game.
yeah,
And then to have all this,
But to that point, like, especially at that particular period of time, like, you could have a game that's in that sort of window, say mid-teens to even 20 sort of hours, and you're kind of repeating the same thing a fair bit, whereas this fairly differentiated most of the adventure.
but not to mention, like, that's the thing. Like, after you finish the game, you unlock some additional weapons and fun stuff. Like, you both would have unlocked the infinite rocket launcher, which you can purchase for $1 million in-game dollars, and basically just fucking have infinite rockets. Which, I mean, you can one-hit a boss with the rocket launcher, so it's really strong. And then, after you do some other content, you can get the Chicago typewriter and different costumes and stuff like that. No, the Chicago typewriter is literally a
Dear boss, die.
What's the name of it? It's a Tommy gun.
Yeah.
It's a straight up fucking like Tommy gun.
I much prefer my version of it, but anyway.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. So
Simple
in the
minds.
PS2 version and onwards, once you've unlocked the Chicago typewriter, you can play through the game as Special Costume 2, which is literally like an Al Capone costume with the fucking fedora and everything. Fedora and white scarf, like straight out of the fucking mafia, and just...
Hey, I'm walking here.
Yeah, alright.
Interesting spin, it's a weird enough game. So
Yeah, but I mean, in addition to that, you've also got all these sort of beyond the finished game content, like, if that makes sense. And a lot of it's really fucking hard. Like, for me, I've never even unlocked Ada to play as, which is the first unlockable character in the Mercenaries mode, because it was too fucking hard for me. I mean, I've not gone back and played it then, but back when I was kind of in my prime on the GameCube version, couldn't do it. It's too fucking difficult. So yeah, it's like a lot of fucking shit's packed in that game, which is pretty cool. Well, look, this is kind of my last question.
Oh, okay. That's right.
So we can sort of stretch it out as much as you want. But
We'll do it now.
since it's taken 3 sequels and a bunch of side games for them to make another good one, Resident Evil 7. I'm going to change
How many games a year to this point?
I'm gonna change the does it deserve a sequel question to does it deserve its legendary status, or does it deserve a status as a legendary video game?
Paul, you guys, wasn't that one that you...
Again, remembering like what it is, and like, because I mean, both of you would have played games since
It changed
then,
and shook a lot of things up.
and you can see. I think you can see in
usually-
games now.
Usually a good, like, if you're trying to determine what are some of the most influential. No, you don't even necessarily need to talk about best, but a game can be deemed legendary for just
Its influence to the market.
its influence. Yeah,
And again, you can see a
and
lot
Resident
of.
Evil changed things up a lot, not just for the franchise, but for the genre and for the way you play games.
Well, I mean, they created the genre, so yeah.
Well, yeah, I know, but any franchise needs to look at redefining itself from time to time
Agreed.
to ensure it doesn't become stale or whatever. So, after 3 games in, plus, there would have been other bits and pieces by that stage. I don't exactly know how the Resident Evil timeline fits in. Do we have 0 or
There would have been
Code Veronicas and those sorts of things?
Yeah, there would have been 5 games.
Would they have been out before?
Yeah, they were before. Yeah.
So, I mean, at that point, you're 5 games in. You need to, it's probably important at this point. You're looking at doing something different. Your technology's developed in such a way. These days, it's not like the technology's not changing at the same rapid rate that it once did then. So, they're finding new opportunities, be it with the GameCube or PS2. And you've got to explore those, and it did, and it was a leader in a bunch of different ways. And I guess for that reason alone, even if you don't necessarily, and I mean, look, I don't put it up there with the best games I've ever played, sort of thing. But I still enjoyed it. But I can still look at it and appreciate what it did.
Yeah, I mean, like, to also expand.
Mostly, like, I might have a greater appreciation for it if horror games were really my thing.
Well, to expand on that, can you see where elements that it would have pioneered have now been brought into, into like a slew of games since that have almost become,
again,
I guess,
even the simple thing with that conservative sort of approach to the way
And the leveling,
resourcefulness,
like the leveling of your weapons and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Like there's definitely an aspect of RPG in the fact of the way that it slowly allows you to expand your inventory and your upgrading your weapons and stuff like that. Like there's it definitely does that at a very specifically consistent amount, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
What about you, Damo? Again, look, sorry, I probably should have phrased this question in, do you think it deserves its legendary status for when it came out? Because again, if you're playing it now, you're probably seeing a lot of where its influences have come, so it kind of has that opposite effect of, well, I mean, like quick time events and cutscenes, man, they're so 2009.
That type of stuff. Back a little bit. Same if I came to you, if Damo came to you with God of War, for example. Like,
look, it's hard for me to say because, like, I'm just not an RE man. Like, I just
fair enough.
But at the exact same time, I get why people love them. I get why they're still around. I get, why. Yeah, I can understand why it has its status because, like, I mean, no, I don't know if I would give it to it myself or not because it's just not my thing. And I get, its influences there, and it's kind of like appreciating decent music, really, isn't it? It's like, I don't like that, but I understand what went into it that makes it still good. Like,
I mean, like, what other stuff were you playing at around 2004? Like, does it hold up to other stuff you were playing at around about that year?
I can't remember what I was playing 2004.
Yeah,
Final Fantasy 10.
Final Fantasy 10 for the 10th time.
Things like that.
Yeah.
Zone of the Enders, Time Crisis. PS2 was a simple time, Jack and that stuff. I mean...
GTA.
I mean, that's the hard thing, isn't it? It's like when you haven't, like, really jumped into that genre, like horror survival, but, like, now you say you really can see that that influence that it's given across different genres too. Like, I mean, you look at the suitcase and, like, being able to hold that many items and
like inventory management.
That's so scarcely used now. Like, you know what I mean? Now it's just like, oh, you've got the maximum amount of potions. Like, whereas that was like, you can have the whole thing filled with potions, but you've got nothing else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, to see that come out again would be nice. Like, I mean, I think there was a couple of games that did it.
Well, also a lot of games that do it now, they do it to frustrate you, I think. Like games like even like No Man's Sky or something like that. Yeah, like they've got limited inventory, but it's there just to hamper your progression. Yeah. Whereas something like this,
it's also a bad game.
Yes, it is. But like games like this, I think they make use of it really well to be like, well, fuck, what do I... Because there's no, like, unlike the original Resident Evils, there's no box.
Yeah.
There's no, like, cool, I've got a, like, infinite box that I'll come across on a regular basis. It's like, what you can carry is what you can carry.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, so... Yeah, look, I mean, for me personally, I obviously do think it deserves its legendary status for a lot of the different things that it has in games. I mean, its storytelling is great. I mean, it's a good story even now. Yeah. Like, even though it's kind of a Hollywood story, but I mean, you have to think that, like, since when this game would have come out, we haven't really had many, like, blockbusters like what that would be. I always thought when I saw what the Resident Evil movies became, because this game came out at around about the time when they started to come out.
Yeah.
And I always thought the story behind that and the idea of, like you were saying, with the Plagas and how original they are in terms of, this totally makes sense. You could pseudoscience yourself all the way to the bank, whereas like zombies, it's like, well, they don't really work because dead flesh doesn't move. Like, that type of stuff, you know what I mean? Like this, like, you can pseudoscience it all the way to kind of making sense. And, all the crazy shit that happens from, like, you walking up to fucking you jet skiing at the end. Like, there's a lot to it, and I think that it's from a storytelling perspective, from a gameplay perspective, and again, I mean, you have to look at like the sort of action survival games that came after it.
Yeah,
very heavily informed by that. Even some of the set piece stuff. Like, you could argue even some of the set piece stuff from even things like Uncharted. or Tomb Raider, stuff like that, where it's you have to, during a set piece, you need to be pushing the right buttons and doing the right thing, otherwise you're dead. Like a lot of that, you can definitely see some of its
for sure.
root in that. Like, and again, look, I obviously,
says Uncharted, he just went,
but again, like it's not a.
But you're right. No, you're right. Those,
because I mean, it's got to come from somewhere, and I mean, my opinion is that's where it's come from.
Well, I'm not sure if there was anything else that did it before.
I certainly don't. I mean,
there could be.
Yeah, I mean, look, it certainly didn't invent QuickTime events. Pretty sure Shenmue was one of the pioneers of that. But again, Shenmue was only
3.
Shenmue was only
Kickstarter backers.
Like Shenmue was only 2000, like the year 2000 or something like that. Like, this is only like 4 years after it. It's like one development cycle after.
Yeah.
So like you have to remember that it's an old fucking game, and like looking back at it, yes, the FMV is terrible quality based on what we look at now, but I don't know. For me personally,
look through the lens, like through its
for the lens of 240p was amazing and looked great back then. That you know, it's
like a lot of CRT telly still.
So for me,
Donald Trump wasn't president.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah, for me, for what I think it's done for video games and what it did to sort of make the survival horror game faster. Like I think that it definitely had a hand in showing that these games could be fast and action packed, but still like threaten the pants off of you.
Yeah.
I think it's really great.
Take him off.
Yeah. That's pretty much all I had. Because I mean, look, we could delve into specific story points, or talk about loot or inventory and the stuff that you can find and little secrets.
And for those of you who haven't seen
and like the treasures and stuff like that.
Those where you have to discuss in the comments below.
Yeah. Because look, I think that the game is really well rounded. So there you go.
Well, I guess that is Resident Evil 4, assuming that there's no final closing thoughts from anyone, the person who brought it, or either of us.
I think I just did that.
Cool. Damo,
go play it. Go fucking play it. Like, I mean, at the very least, can you guys would you recommend it to people to play?
Oh, it's a great history lesson, if nothing else.
Yeah, pick it up. I mean, I did a side-by-side comparison on YouTube with what the remake looks like versus what it originally looked like, and it's actually one of the better HD remakes I've ever seen done. Like, it's very pretty now.
And you can get the game basically anywhere. So, obviously GameCube, PS2, like we've spoken about. You can get it on PC.
Yep.
Wii, which is where I played it. You got it on PS4 and Xbox One.
And I'm pretty sure it's on
Steam too.
Fairly
sure it hit PS3 and 360 as well. My gut feels it hit those two as well.
I think it hit one, maybe?
No, I think it's... You can get it almost anywhere.
Yeah, pretty much.
By owning it for Wii, you can play it on a Wii U for the two of you that actually bought a Wii U.
Yeah.
Congratulations
It's definitely one that if you haven't picked it up, it's if nothing else for a history lesson, even if it's not like even if like horror games or survival horror games or what have you are not your thing. And again, like I would have thought that pre-Resident Evil 7, leveraging you into actually playing it would have been really hard, just because of the stigma that comes with horror games, survival horror games. But there's a lot of action to it. Like it's like, don't let the genres fool you. It's an approachable game, and I'd recommend it highly.
So, like I said, that is Resident Evil 4. Next month it is my game, and I'm bringing something, I don't know, Jay's probably not super thrilled about it. We're moving away from horror/suspense.
Oh, that's not why I'm not.
We've had Bioshock, we've had Alan Wake, and now Resident Evil 4. We're moving on to Age of Empires 2. I can't wait.
I can.
Is this our RTS?
Sort of no, we're not going to just keep up waiting for RTS
3 months.
Games. Let's consider it.
3 months. You won't get one from me. I can promise.
Let's do a double.
So look forward to that one at the end of next month.
I'll shiv you when you're not looking.
Jay won't have. Do you have like an old Age of Empires 2 thing sitting around somewhere? We'll just put the little printout of the.
I think I got it in a box of Nutrigrain once, man.
I could probably get it off.
We'll find something.
Friend.
Because that'd be a cool little prop to have. But big slice of PC gaming history. I don't know. There's still lots of people go back to
#Big Daddy.
Spicy. Was it spicy Age of Empire memes versus like edgy Age of Empire memes on Facebook. They're actually like the red and blue. Like one's red, one's blue,
really?
and they actually challenged each other to a Twitch off. That was awesome.
Probably won't ask about memes during our episode.
No, you don't have to be out.
But I'm glad something like that exists.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like it's just nostalgia now. Like just like
I can't wait to delve into the rich story of
it's
Age of
like
Empires.
No, we won't be talking story very much.
guys with this clothes and this have 100% chance of stealing your girl, and it's just a priest.
So, Age of Empires 2 is our game for next month. We'll make sure to
Kill ourselves.
enjoy ourselves, and we'll talk to you about it then. But in the meantime, make sure to please like, share, and subscribe to this channel, the Player2 AU channel.
I don't think that's... Is that racially sensitive? I think that's not.
He did that intro. I don't know if you went back and watched his intro to Bioshock, but maybe you should do that at some point.
Is it still allowed on YouTube? Like, did you get a cease and desist, or like?
But he's back to not being able to talk again. So yeah, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Visit player2.net.au for all the awesome written content. There's some awesome writers doing some awesome stuff. Hey?
So I've heard.
Yes, that's every single time we record. Taco's Talks on Twitter, Paul James P2 on Twitter.
I got a PlayStation account now.
You are on PlayStation, you're on PlayStation, I'm on PlayStation. We'll have to roll those out at some point.
You're on PlayStation.
You're on PlayStation.
You're on PlayStation.
Thanks, we just...
PlayStation for you, and you and everybody gets
But
a
we're not
PlayStation.
giving a PlayStation.
No, we're not. No.
Matt, editor, boss.
Yeah, nah.
I'll take another
viewers.
one if you give it away.
Just send him a tweet saying that Paul sent you anyone.
Yeah, Paul sent you a PlayStation. Yep.
And he says he wants a free PlayStation idea. So
Thanks, Sony.
thanks, guys. I don't even know what I've covered anymore.
Age of Empires.
Player2AU on Twitter as well for all kind of updates where you can find all the content. So thank you very much for watching, and we will see you later.
Get back to double clicking your mouse.